loaded with romance. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting golden hues over the quiet beach. Jack and Daniel sat side by side, their shoulders brushing as the waves lapped gently at their feet. Daniel had convinced Jack to leave the kitchen for a night, insisting they needed a break. "I thought you'd enjoy being the one to relax for a change," Daniel said, grinning as he spread a blanket over the sand. Jack shook his head, smiling despite himself. "You're insistent, aren't you? You need someone to remind you the world exists outside that kitchen." Daniel handed Jack a glass of wine, their fingers brushing. The brief touch sent a spark coursing through Jack's body, and he quickly looked away, hoping the dim light hid the flush creeping up his neck. The conversation flowed easily as they shared stories about their pasts, laughter echoing into the night. Jack found himself relaxing in a way he hadn't in years. But as the night wore on, their playful banter gave way to something deeper. Daniel leaned back on his hands, his gaze fixed on Jack. "You know, you're different out here." Jack tilted his head. "Different how?" "You're softer, less guarded. I like seeing this side of you." Jack's chest tightened. No one had ever seen past his walls so effortlessly before. "And you," Jack murmured, his voice low, "have a way of getting under my skin." Daniel chuckled, but his smile was tinged with vulnerability. "I'll take that as a compliment." The silence that followed was charged, their unspoken feelings hanging heavy in the air. Finally, Daniel shifted closer, his eyes searching Jack's. "Can I?" Jack's breath caught. He knew what Daniel was asking, and every part of him screamed to say yes. Without a word, he closed the distance between them, their lips brushing softly at first, a tentative exploration that quickly deepened. Daniel's hands found their way to Jack's jaw, his touch firm yet gentle as he tilted Jack's face, claiming his lips with more urgency. Jack melted into the kiss, his fingers tangling in Daniel's hair, pulling him closer. The world around them faded, leaving only the sound of their mingled breaths and the taste of salt and wine on their tongues. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathless, their foreheads pressed together. "You taste like the ocean," Daniel whispered, his voice husky. Jack laughed softly, his thumb tracing the line of Daniel's cheekbone. "And you taste like trouble." A night to remember. That kiss marked the turning point in their relationship. Their moments together became more charged, their touches lingering longer, their glances filled with unspoken desire. One evening, after the restaurant closed, Daniel showed up unannounced, carrying a bottle of champagne. "To celebrate," he said, grinning. "Celebrate what?" Jack asked, wiping his hands on a towel. "Life. United States. Does it matter?" Jack couldn't argue with that. They sat at the counter, sipping champagne and sharing stolen kisses between sips. "Tell me something you've never told anyone," Daniel said suddenly, his voice low. Jack hesitated, the question catching him off guard, but the warmth in Daniel's gaze made it impossible to resist. "I've always been scared of losing control," Jack admitted. "That's why the kitchen feels safe. It's the one place where everything is predictable." Daniel reached across the counter, taking Jack's hand in his. "You don't have to be in control all the time, you know. You can let go with me." Jack's heart pounded as Daniel stood, moving around the counter until they were face to face. Daniel cupped Jack's face, his thumb brushing over his bottom lip before leaning in. This kiss was slower, deeper, their lips moving in perfect sync as Daniel pressed Jack against the counter. Jack's hands roamed Daniel's back, pulling him impossibly closer. The heat between them was electric, their kisses growing more urgent. When Daniel's lips trailed down Jack's jaw to his neck, Jack let out a soft moan, his fingers tightening in Daniel's shirt. "Stay," Jack whispered, the single word carrying all the vulnerability he'd tried to hide. Daniel smiled against his skin, his breath warm. Always. Morning light. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the windows of Jack's apartment, illuminating the tangled sheets and discarded clothes on the floor. Jack stirred, feeling the warmth of Daniel's body curled against his. He turned, watching Daniel sleep, his face peaceful. Jack reached out, tracing the line of his jaw, his touch feather-light. As if sensing him, Daniel's eyes fluttered open, a lazy smile spreading across his face. "Morning." Jack leaned down, pressing a soft kiss to Daniel's lips. "Morning." Daniel pulled Jack closer, their legs tangling as he deepened the kiss. "You know," Daniel murmured between kisses, "I could get used to waking up like this." Jack smiled, his heart full in a way he hadn't thought possible. "So could I."